Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Ba'ishim, Barakah Kodash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Ba'ishim, Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who ruled and teach well. In peace and salutations to Ya'akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'll be profiling this clip from the Spiro Scores YouTube channel titled U.S. on the Brink of Martial Law as Officials Implement Contact Tracing Methods to Track Rioters. And whatever your opinion of these George Floyd protests across the country are, one thing's for sure, they're being used as a pretext for Esau Edom to further implement his New World Order. As the old saying goes, never let a good crisis go to waste. Ordo Ab Chao, order out of chaos. This is Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them, the elect of the nation of Israel, the 144,000, and the rest of the righteous 1/3. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Israelite foreigners who look like these heathens, who have woken back up to your heritage and returned to your power, Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai, and are diligently doing whatever you can to stay in the good graces of your power so you can have that protective hedge over you for when Jacob's trouble really pops off. Woe or destruction to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, 2/3 of you hard-headed Israelites who refuse to return to your power, and you heathen nations. For the devil, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, more specifically the elites of the Edomites, such as the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Gettys, the DuPonts, you name it, is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And again, these George Floyd protests are being used as a pretext for Esau Edom to further implement his New World Order and eventually get everyone mandatorily microchip implanted, because the RFID/NFC microchip implant is the mark of the beast, which is the crowning jewel of Esau Edom's New World Order. And these elites are having to sloppily rush their plans because they can clearly see the time's almost up. They understand the scriptures and can see these end times prophecies coming to their fulfillments, the nation of Israel waking back up, and the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, out there on the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this. And they know that when the men of the Lord are prophesying out there, that whatever kingdom that's ruling at the time is going to come to an end. And they also know that they're the biblical Edomites and know the fate of the Edomites. 1,000 years of hardcore bondage and slavery after they're taken out of power, and then their permanent culling from this planet. And they clearly don't want that. So they're about to pull out all the stops to implement their New World Order. Things are only going to get more chaotic from here on out. So you better throw any notion of things getting better out the window and get prepared for the fireworks.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Spiro. Thanks for tuning in. If this is not an emergency broadcast, I don't know what is. Now, for those of you who have been following me for some time, know that I've never been one to fearmonger. It's not now, nor has it ever been my message or my mission. But right now, we are literally witnessing the destruction of America by design. And this didn't just happen overnight. This has been a long-standing plan in the works. This country was already bought and sold a long time ago. This country has already been looted a long time ago, and the people shackled through a debt-based system of slavery, who have also been divided through a sophisticated propaganda machine, weaponized and turned against the people. And now we are seeing the start of the fireworks.
Protests are gaining momentum. We're seeing just a standoff there between police and protesters. We've certainly seen it turn violent with several cars, police vehicles that have been torched there. Many buildings around the city have also gone up in flames. And this is happening in around 30 states around America.
Many cities across the United States are in complete chaos right now as rioters are taking to the streets and either overwhelming the police, or sometimes we see the police are being ordered to stand down and let this organized chaos rule the day. Now, this is just another example, a perfect example of problem, reaction, solution. We have seen this story play out time and time again in other countries, and people here didn't give a damn at the time because it wasn't happening to them. organized destabilization operations, which preceded what we were told was regime change because of an oppressive dictator. Well, now the weapons of war and these covert tactics of war have come home to roost. And now President Trump has ordered the Pentagon to prepare the U.S. military to deploy domestically inside the United States. Domestically, here in our borders. Now, I know that many of you are thinking that this is unconstitutional. The president cannot do this. He has no right to do this. Well, he claims that under the Insurrection Act, he has every right to do this. And the military is on standby as we speak, if they haven't already been deployed. I don't know if you've seen the videos out there tonight, but it is getting worse and worse every night. And people are going to welcome the military with open arms at this point. As the violence continues to escalate, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the military in the streets of America very soon, even possibly as soon as this weekend, as they have been ordered to be ready to deploy in as little as 4 hours. Now, the headlines are saying that Trump could deploy the military to Minneapolis, but do not be fooled. Once this can of worms is opened up, it will spread across the nation very quickly, and people will beg for it at this point. And if you see the videos out there that are...
This is 2 Esdras chapter 15, verse 16 through 17. For there shall be sedition among men. And the definition for that word sedition is conduct or speech inciting rebellion against a monarchy or ruling authority. Sound familiar? And invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. In the modern day kings and princes are these political figures like your mayors, governors, senators, the president, prime ministers, etc., etc., as well as the authorities that uphold the system, like the police. And what have you seen over the past week? Cops getting attacked all over the country, police vehicles being vandalized, the U.S. Treasury in D.C. getting vandalized, the White House being surrounded, and slogans like "fuck Donald Trump" and "kill all cops" being chanted. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Martial law. And what did Spiro just say? Not only has the National Guard been activated, but President Trump is talking about activating the U.S. military. And if things escalate to that point, what do you think's going to happen next? Martial law being declared. You already have several states enacting curfews. And to further add fuel to the fire, there are agent provocateurs out there causing mayhem, further stirring up the people in order to further justify bringing out the military. Again, Ordo Ab Chao. Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Circulating tonight. It is extremely disturbing. Most of these videos are on Twitter. They don't last very long on places like YouTube, as they are filled with extreme violence. As we see here, the U.S. military is currently monitoring protests in at least 7 different states. Now, they would not be monitoring these protests if they weren't already drafting plans to in preparation to deploy there. I'm not saying they are for sure, but the writing is on the wall at this point. And today we have U.S. Attorney General Bob Barr admit that these protests are being organized. He basically insinuated that this is an organized attack against America, not from Russia or something like that, but basically from within.
Unfortunately, with the rioting that is occurring in many of our cities around the country, the voices of peaceful protest are being hijacked by violent radical elements. Groups of outside radicals and agitators are exploiting the situation to pursue their own separate and violent agenda. In many places, it appears the violence is planned, organized, and driven by anarchic and left extremist groups, far left extremist groups, using Antifa-like tactics, many of whom travel from outside the state to promote the violence.
To me, these operations have the calling card of George Soros and CIA-type operations in this. From everything we're seeing right here, these are textbook destabilization operations that we've seen take place time and time again. Today, we also had officials in Minnesota state that they are using essentially contact tracing methods to track rioters, as they claim that 80% of the rioters in their state are from out of state, and they're coming in an organized effort to create chaos.
As we've begun making arrests We have begun analyzing the data of who we have arrested and begun actually doing what you would think is almost very similar to our COVID. It's contact tracing. Who are they associated with? What platforms are they advocating for?
Now, I bet you thought that contact tracing was only going to be used to fight the virus, right? Well, probably not. I'm sure some of you everyone watching probably has seen through this already, but it sure didn't take long for these new normals, these new methods to become the new normals, as they're already being used against the public, the general public. But don't worry, it's only to catch the bad guys. And you know what? The people are going to welcome it. Go on to...
Again, Ordo Ab Chao, like I said at the beginning of the video, the end goal of all these different events taking place is the implementation of the New World Order and to have everybody mandatorily microchip implanted. And I've done a video before on contact tracing, and the gist of it is that if you've supposedly been in contact with somebody with the coronavirus, then the authorities can come to your house and test you. And if you refuse testing, or they see that you can't be safely quarantined in your home, then you or your loved ones can be forcibly removed from your home and brought to another location, like a FEMA camp for quarantine, where they're going to vaccinate you. And the vaccination is nothing more than a stepping stone towards the microchip implant. Just look up ID 2020. And isn't it interesting that President Trump has come out and said that when the coronavirus vaccine is available, he's going to use the military to help distribute it. And also, Trump has activated 1 million military reservists from all branches to help combat the coronavirus, as well as moved the National Guard and military hardware all throughout the country. And talks of contact tracing and these riots happen to come around the time where a coronavirus vaccine is right around the corner. But real quick, here's a clip from the GMS Chicago Kwame Yasharala page titled Hour of Temptation, Optional RFID Chip with Vaccine, though it's not going to be optional for too much longer.
How does the optional RFID chip work?
Well, each of these devices that are injected have the capacity to also have a small chip. What that chip does is it has the unique serial number for each dose. It is designed so that there is no counterfeiting. It's designed so that we'll know exactly that the right dose hasn't expired. However, that chip only refers to the dose. There's no personal information, no patient information. It's simply like a barcode, only we know instantaneously where and when that dose has been used. That also helps public health officials know when there are outbreaks, have we vaccinated enough people in those areas? That technology is purely optional, however, and the U.S. government hasn't even decided if they're going to use it.
How quickly can you manufacture the vaccines, and what's your long-term goal?
Well, we don't make vaccines, Lori. Drug companies make the vaccines. They then ship them to us for the packaging. So our long-term goal is to make sure that no matter what vaccine wins or what vaccines and what therapeutics are available, America can fill and finish in these pre-filled syringes as many of the drugs as we need for U.S. citizens and eventually to have excess that we can export worldwide. Our goal is to make sure that on American soil, we have everything we need to protect America.
And the main target for this contact tracing program and these vaccinations are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the children of Israel, who just so happens to be the face of the coronavirus in America, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And who are they making the face of these George Floyd protests? You so-called Negroes or Judites of the Southern Kingdom. Here's an article from ZeroHedge.com titled City Leaders to Protesters, Coming COVID-19 Second Wave is Your Fault. It's amazing how fast the threat of global pandemic receded in the headlines amid the raging George Floyd protests, also as multiple American cities are on fire. The same cities which spent over the last 2 months on lockdown and social distancing orders are now seeing throngs of tens of thousands congregate, often in close-quarter standoffs with police. One has to wonder about what all of this will have to do in terms of flattening the curve. The mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms, addressed this, warning demonstrators, if you were out protesting last night, you probably need to go get a COVID test this week, getting contact traced. There is still a pandemic in America that's killing black and brown people at higher numbers, she added. And last week, Minneapolis Health Commissioner warned protesters that the large-scale gatherings and crowd riot behavior will very predictably accelerate the spread. Back in Revelation chapter 12, verse 12, this devil is about to come down in great wrath because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. You Israelites stand in the way of Esau Edom implementing his new world order. So when the time comes, he's going to kill as many of you as he can and vaccinate and microchip as many of you as he can. But in the end, it's all futile because you Edomites are going to lose. Everything's been set in stone. You're not going to get the blessing and the birthright to the kingdom of heaven back from Israel, and the elect, through Yahushai, have already gotten the victory over you.
Twitter and watch these videos, and you might think, you know what, maybe we do need the military in here because it is getting ugly out there. Now, I just had Richie Allen on my show today, and we did a deeper dive in this whole topic, this whole scenario on a macro level. Make sure you guys tune in that report and check it out. And also follow me on Twitter if you want to see some of this crazy footage. I don't put out all of it. Some of the stuff is just too graphic, and it's hard to even watch some of this stuff, to be honest with you, the extreme ultra-violence that is taking place. And we see that this country and the civil unrest is just growing and growing, and the police-state response, is there, but at the same time, there's a big lack. I mean, the police can't be everywhere all the time, and you know what? Do we really want them to be? Well, of course, in a time of crisis, right? But then again, it plays this conundrum, this dilemma, basically, okay, where problem, reaction, solution comes into play here, okay? The cities are being overrun by gangs and criminals, and they're looting and beating people and even beating cops and setting things on fire, all this crazy stuff. So people want order, right? They want it to stop, right? Well,
out of chaos.
The police aren't up to it, and the National Guard isn't up to it, so what then? The military? Well, what happens if the military can't do it? What then? The United Nations? I mean...
And like we always tell you, at some point, there will be NATO troops, Russian and Chinese troops, and mercenary forces patrolling the streets of America and putting you Americans down like dogs. And their main target is going to be you Israelites. This is 2 Esdras chapter 16. I'm going to read verse 70 to 75. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, the nation of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. They shall be like madmen, sparing none. And those madmen are going to be these U.S. troops, those NATO troops, Russian and Chinese troops, and those mercenaries, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. When the time comes, they're going to bust in your doors and forcefully drag you out of your houses, whether it be because you were contact traced and had the coronavirus, or because you're linked to one of these protests. And more often than not, for you 2/3, they're just going to put you to death on the spot, have their way with your loved ones, and spoil the stuff in your house. And if they bring you to a FEMA concentration camp, you're going to get tortured to death there. So it's not looking good for you. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire, the elect, the 144,000, and the rest of the righteous 1/3. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. To you sincere Akim out there, hey, even to myself, don't be afraid when this day comes, because while it's much easier said than done, Yahweh Ba'ishim Yahushai will set up that standard for us to help us get through whatever situation comes our way. And if it's your lot to be a martyr in this truth, then so be it. Just take it like a good soldier of Yahushai HaMashiach to the very end, and the Most High will put it on your spirit to take your death manfully. The only thing we need to worry about doing right now is making our calling and election sure so that we have that standard set up for us. Continue to show charity to the brotherhood, follow these laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of your abilities, and preach this word to the best of your abilities. Verse 75, be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your guide. So with this video, I hope you sincere Akim were edified. Just keep strong and keep pushing this word. We're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathens, chiefly Esau, Edom. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.